40 Racewear, makers of the ultimate sim racing shoes and custom apparel designed for sim racing by sim racers. 40 racing shoes are engineered to connect racers to the pedals in a way no other racing shoe can, all the while giving you the comfort needed to complete those double and triple stints. Visit 40racewear.com and check out the latest sim racing products that let you connect to your sim. 40 Racewear, makers of the ultimate sim racing shoes and custom apparel designed for sim racing by sim racers. 40 racing shoes are engineered to connect racers to the pedals in a way no other racing shoe can, all the while giving you the comfort needed to complete those double and triple stints. Visit 40racewear.com and check out the latest sim racing products that let you connect to your sim.
Good evening, race fans, and welcome to tonight's coverage of the Area 51 Sunday Gen 6 Super Speedway Series here on Green White Checker TV. We have an exciting, action-packed 75 laps ready to go for you tonight at the historic Daytona International Speedway as our drivers are getting ready to gear up for tonight's activities. Qualifying is currently in session, about a minute and a half into the 5 minutes allotted for your 2 laps of qualifying time to set the starting grid for tonight's race. Week 9 here of our 14-week season, gearing up for the playoffs here in just a few weeks. Obviously, we got 2 races left, including tonight, as we get ready for that chase for the championship for 12 drivers. And as we highlight that, we'll bring up those points now just to show you where we are at. And it still is a Nightmare Esports top sweep of the first 4 spots in the standings. Cody Nagels with 237, John Ellis with 226, Vince with 214, Landon there with 204, and Maxwell Caldwell there in 5th place is 191 points. These should account for the drop weeks, so of the first 10 weeks, you get to drop 2 of your lowest scores, obviously including any missed races. So if you miss more than 2, then obviously that's what the drop weeks are designed for. So gives everyone an opportunity. So these should account for that based on Sim Racer Hub now. So it should be a pretty accurate picture of that race for 12th, which we'll get down to in just a second. But Dean Wilkinson there solidly in the top 10 in 6th place. Gabe Butler just 4 points behind him, another 7 back from Dean to Todd Merkel in 8th place. And this is where it gets fun. Bob Fitzgerald has 157 points. Brandon Briggs 1 behind in 10th. Tom Dixon 2 behind Brandon in 11th. Then we have a tie for 12th at the moment between Gary Huffines and Justin Davis at 153. Bud Steele with 152 in 14th. Philip Bridgman 151 in 15th. And Charles Johnson there 149 in 16th. So we'll be taking those top 12 drivers to go on to chase for that championship. So there's going to be definitely quite a few drivers that are looking for a really solid night. And I mean, when you've only got just around 10 points separating 9th to 16th place, it should be pretty action-packed. So we're looking forward to getting into the action and bringing it to you here, always on Green White Checker TV. So we'll have 2 more opportunities to solidify that top 12 to race for the championship. And I think we've got even back to 17th place, it was 141 points. So there's quite a few drivers that are still mathematically eligible for those top 12 spots. And it'll be fun to see these guys race it out, figure out who is going to claim them. So obviously, yeah, working on Daytona International Speedway tonight, running under the lights just like we were on Friday night in the Truck Series. Obviously, Sundays running the NASCAR Gen 6 cars. And got about 30 seconds left in qualifying, so we're just about ready to bring you that starting grid and watch these trucks take off from pit road. Friday night we saw somewhere around 15 to 16 laps or so on fuel, with the 75 lap count for tonight, just as there was Friday night. It should be around 4 pit stops or so, 5 stints. Obviously that'll change depending on what might happen with cautions and whatnot, but you see the camera change over and the session flips over from qualifying now into the race, and we are gridding for that. So we'll bring up those starting positions for you here, and we're going to see that number 16 on that pole position for tonight. Cody Nagels for Namir Esports going to grab that top spot. Just 0.03 of a second behind him is outside pole Gabe Butler in that number 88 Chevrolet. Vince Guerrero is going to be in that number 41 there in third position, so a couple teammates lined up nose to tail. Same with the outside lane, as Everett is going to be just behind his teammate Gabe in that fourth position there for row number 2. Justin Davis starting inside the top 5 tonight, alongside Jack Walls from Roswell Motorsports. John Ellis and Hayden Davis are going to be splitting that fourth row of your grid for tonight. We have 1320 Racing Enterprises' Todd Merkel inside of row number 5, and William Roberts is going to round out that top 10 for the starting grid for tonight. First driver to not elect to qualify is going to be Landon Velicki, and he's going to have a teammate to his right side. That's Evan Carlbin for the 6th row of the grid. And a couple more rows here. Gary Huffines and Eric Laurie will start side by side row number 7. And Brandon Briggs for the Underdogs is going to be in that 15th position, starting shotgun on the field for tonight. And we are less than 30 seconds away from pace car rolling off and getting ready to kick these 75 laps off for tonight. So we're looking for, looks like one more car to grid, and we will be ready to roll on out of here. So again, we mentioned there's only 2 more races left before we get into those playoffs, and we'll see 12 drivers duke it out for the rest of the season for that championship. And again, tonight going to be so important with how many drivers are just a few points above or below that cutoff line. And you see here, we're going to pull the pace car onto pit road. Lights are off. We will be going green next time by, and we'll be gearing up for the first lap. Again, 75 is going to be the scheduled distance for tonight around this historic 2.5 mile oval. Saw some really good racing on Friday night as well, as the intensity continues to ramp up towards the later stages of this first season here in 2026. And we will see all the action that will come for it. See, actually noticing a couple different paint schemes here. Justin Davis in that number 10. Looks he's got some old Mark Martin style Valvoline paint scheme. Love to see the creativity for a lot of these drivers here and the liberties that they take with their painting skills. And the team car actually, cousin Hayden Davis also rocking looks like a Scott Riggs Valvoline scheme. So there's some really cool teammate collaboration going on there. I think most of everyone running pretty similar paint schemes what we've seen in the past. Obviously, Gabe Butler there, a little bit of a special note on the hood of that number 88. Got the in memory of Jim Brooks logo on the hood of that truck. Or sorry, it is not Friday night, it's Sunday night. These are Gen 6 cars. So on the hood of that Gen 6 Chevrolet for Gabe Butler, as these two lead the field to the green here. Safety car is going to take that hard left turn onto pit road in just a second here as we get ready to roll. coming through the tri-oval for the first time of the night. Getting ready to go green here at Daytona International Speedway. We are racing under the lights here at Area 51. Two by two as they get up to speed here. 88 edges just ahead for now with the help of his teammate behind. 16 and the 41 better connected through the middle of turns 1 and 2. See if Gabe Butler has enough momentum and clearance to get ahead of the 16, and actually looks like the 16 is going to pull off and drop to the back, at least to the start, for the start of this race. And the 83 of Jack Walls along with Hayden Davis are going to jump to the bottom and clear to fill that hole ahead of Vicente Guerrero. The 88 and the 24 still working on that high side together. And it looks like Gabe Butler should be in good position to lead this first lap here, and indeed he does, collecting that bonus point in the championship standings for himself. He's solidly in the top 12 at the moment, so not really bonus points that he's needing, but still trying to have a solid finish to the rest of the regular season here, which makes a difference. Momentum that you can carry into the playoffs is so critical at times, and we've seen some really incredible runs over the final 4 races, so trying to do what they can here to continue to lead every lap and be at the front as much as possible. And for a moment they looked like the 88 and the 24 were going to jump to the bottom, but Jack Wells now covers that through turns 3 and 4. And we have seen a lot of that advantage for that high lane. You know, definitely been a bit of a textbook move as taught by the Nightmare Esports team to kind of control that high lane. And for whatever reason, we've seen recently in the sim where it makes more sense to kind of control the race from up there, and you can almost see like a little bit of a breakaway where if you can get a good line of cars in the outside lane, they're strong enough to hold off the inside lane for, you know, maybe 2 or 3 or 4 cars back, and they just can't quite get the momentum on the bottom, which is something that we have seen in the past. Again, let me mention in the real world, obviously in NASCAR, especially when these cars were still racing. Obviously these are a previous generation to what the Cup Series currently runs, but when they were racing these cars in real life, you could see that breakaway in that high lane be able to be successful. But it's not something that we've really ever seen in iRacing until this year in the last couple updates, in the last update at least of 2025. But now you can see where the 24's got a breakaway there, and typically you'd see drivers kind of cycle to the front as there's a little bit of chaos there side by side, a little bit of shuffling around there. And a big push for the 24 to the back of the 88 gets them a little sideways there through 3 and 4. And they're going to finally drop to the bottom. But with all that shakeup, it definitely disturbed some of the momentum here. And we're going to see that inside lane coming back pretty strong. The outside lane's pretty well connected there, as it looks like Huffines giving a good push to Hayden, who's going to jump to the bottom ahead of the 21 of Roberts, putting himself in the lead of that line, and most of the field back to organized here. And we're noticing for Davis there, different number, or no, sorry, that's Brandon Briggs in the 39 that jumped to the bottom. Yes, that's okay. Yeah, there's the 3rd Valvoline car, another Mark Martin throwback. I got thrown off there, but yeah. So there's 3 Valvoline cars here that we can see, and right now they're outperforming the single Mobil 1 car in the field. But yeah, that was Brandon Briggs in the 39. Thought I had to refresh Shreddy Paints for a second, but yeah, there's another Valvoline scheme that you see out there. And man, I feel bad for the spotters. Oh, the 21, a little bit of a push to the 39 going wrong, and that's going to be a big caution here to start early on here tonight. 24 goes around and goes for a slide, and they're still making contact with the outside wall down the back straightaway. Lights are out. Pace car will come collect the field, and we're going to break it down for you and see how this all started. See if we can keep an eye on Everett Lane, as he seemed to be involved at least to some degree here. And yeah, at the front, you can see already the 39 getting the push from the 21. 39 comes back up on the track. 21 is to his outside. 21 moves up into the 24. And that puts him around. I think everyone, for the most part, gets through okay. The 78, Carlin making a little bit of contact there at the end, kind of late. The 72 having to dive down. And then I think we saw Gary Huffines get into the wall because of it as well. So we will roll it back one more time, try to grab a slightly different camera angle and see if we can rewind a little further and watch how this actually developed. So yeah, you see the 21 pushing strong through the middle of the corner. And it gets a little tight to the 24 and the 88 there. But yeah, the 21's just inside enough and pushing aggressively enough through the corner. And then by the time the 39 comes back up the track, the 21 is to his rear quarter panel. 21 reacts, and that is when the 24 goes around and goes for a spin. So actually a few more involved there. You see some contact between the 2 and the 10. We saw the 78 make some contact earlier, and then obviously the 98 of Gary Huffines does get into the outside wall just a little. So yeah, that'll be the first caution of the night, and we will keep an eye on pit lane here as everyone's going to come down, led by the 88 of Gabe Butler here. Brandon Briggs actually pits from the second position after being involved in that wreck. 98 Gary Huffines comes in third. And we'll see who can get off of pit road first. 16 further back in the field gets into his stall now. And the 39 of Briggs comes out of pit road first, with Jack Walls, Hayden Davis, William Roberts, and then everybody behind taking 4 tires and fuel. Justin Davis spending an extended amount of time on pit road to repair some damage, most likely. Evan Carlin doing the same. They're trying to see if they can not burn their fast repair this early in the night. So Brandon Briggs will assume the lead. And I think it's early enough that we probably won't see too many people come back down pit road for a splash of fuel, but who knows? It's always a possibility. But we'll keep an eye on that after we get back from a commercial break and bring you this action as we go back to green here.
40 Racewear, makers of the ultimate sim racing shoes and custom apparel designed for sim racing by sim racers. 40 racing shoes are engineered to connect racers to the pedals in a way no other racing shoe can, all the while giving you the comfort needed to complete those double and triple stints. Visit 40racewear.com and check out the latest sim racing products that let you connect to your sim.
And it looks like under caution here, we're going to have about 5th place on back, led by Gabe Butler, coming back down pit road for just a splash of fuel. Depending on how the rest of the race plays out, cautions or otherwise, slide to the box for the 24 there. This extra fuel does make a bit of a difference. Even those under pace speeds, obviously these cars have to go all the way back around the field once more, and they will have, even though again under caution where you're burning the least amount of fuel, one more lap than Brandon Briggs, Jack Walls, Hayden Davis, and William Roberts. Justin Davis also actually moves up, so he was further on back, elects not to pit. Sat on pit road for about 48 seconds to repair some damage. So he'll be restarting in that 5th position there. One of the others that has stayed out. So that will be all of the underdogs. And as we re-rack and stack them here, it'll be 2x2 for 2 rows only. Everybody who pitted a second time will be stuck to single file action. So we'll see how quickly this field groups back up. But it's going to work out perfectly for Brandon Briggs and the 2 Davis cousins to work together here. So with the way that the caution fell, everybody pitting under caution or lap 7 or 8 will not reduce the pit count for the rest of the race. So you still have to probably pit 4 more times. And we'll see how it all shakes out as we are green again once again here at Daytona International Speedway. 3 teammates lined up nose to tail, different generations of the Valvoline machines. As the inside lane has really great connection because of it. Pushing through the middle of the corner is Hayden Davis. And I know that was something that we've talked about these guys in earlier. We do know, obviously, in the real world, when these cars ran in NASCAR, the front bumpers of the Chevrolets were a lot pointier, just the nature of the style of the Camaro, and the Camry having a little bit of a point to it. Not as much, not nearly as pronounced, obviously, but one thing to keep an eye on as the 19 gives a shove to the 39 in the middle of the corner. Curious to know if any of these guys have experienced any differences with that Ford, the front nose being flatter and allowing to push better, because obviously that was something that we saw when these cars were active in the Cup Series. A little bit different in the sim, but for the most part, iRacing does try to be as accurate as possible. Obviously everything from the car to the racing surfaces, all of the walls and all the geometry pretty much that you see in the sim here is gathered by laser scan data for iRacing. And tries to be as true to form as it possibly can be for what some might call a video game. We are 2x2 working on lap number 12 down the back straightaway. Other than our first caution, it's been fairly quiet. We did see some pushing in the middle of the corners, though, which obviously led to that caution. Just about everybody should be in good shape. I don't believe anybody would have had to burn a fast repair there, especially with seeing the likes of Justin Davis spending about 50 seconds on pit road. It wasn't really a hard hit, I don't think, for any of the drivers. So just a little bit of damage that seems to have been repairable under caution there. And obviously, as typical, we will run 2 fast repairs where if that option is checked in your pit selection, you come down pit road, get a brand new race car within milliseconds, and go on your way. Just with the nature of Super Speedway racing, obviously, wrecks can happen in a hurry, and obviously if you don't have those, sometimes you can have a smaller field to the finish, and obviously wanting to put a best show as possible on for the broadcast, they have upped it to 2 of those fast repairs. Obviously, we've seen quite a bit of races here that do go even caution-free all the way to the end. So not typical that we'll use all of those, but obviously anything can happen. It is virtual, but it is still racing, as the 39 is going to cover his 2 teammates, and Gabe Butler is going to be promoted to the lead of the outside lane, with Jack Walls and Roberts behind. It's still Briggs, Davis, and Davis in the inside lane. Gabe Butler gets a lap lead there, starting 15 of 75. Should be getting close to about halfway through the fuel load here. And everyone pitting on lap 7 or 8 under caution. And no one has really moved too much after the restart. Gabe Butler has moved up 5 spots. Hayden Davis has moved down 1, but Gary Huffines has swapped him. Everybody else, everybody in the top 6 except for Huffines and Gabe Butler were some of the ones to pit next to you. We see a window opening here, and Nightmare Esports is going to take it. So they're working on continuing the same strategy for pit stops as they had at the beginning of the night. So lap 15 coming to 16 here. They're still going to keep with about pitting every 15 laps or so. And it'll be interesting to see if there'll be a split strategy. Everybody from that first caution will still have to pit about the same amount of times, but there is about now 8 laps to play with as far as when you come down pit road. And obviously the Nightmare Esports guys have elected to put themselves on pit road first and see what they can do to maybe leapfrog or get ahead of this pack. And I don't think we'll see anybody answering that call. So it seems to be that these guys are going to be running this out as long as they can. So it'll be a fun split strategy to try and keep an eye on here. 21 of Roberts pushing the 88 of Gabe Butler. And Gabe's teammate, Everett Lane, leading the inside now as the 98 and the 21 come to cover him. That's going to promote the 2 to the second in the outside lane, and Everett's going to jump to the high side and see what they can do on the top side of the racetrack as Gabe Butler watches all this unfold behind him. A little bit of wiggle there for the 98 through the tri-oval. Allows the outside lane to get some good momentum, and now we're mostly single file here as the 39 and the 10 are going to drop to the bottom. Try to make their way back to the front. So as the Nightmare Esports guys have settled out, Landon Velicki is leading this group. Vicente, Cody, John, and Evan in that order. Running from 10th on back to 14th at the moment. About 33 seconds behind our leaders here, who don't appear to be organizing to come down pit road anytime soon. And the 2's going to drop to the bottom here. That's going to put the 24 to the rear bumper of his teammate. And it's the 21 and the 98 in the high side, the 2, the 39, the 10, the 83, and the 19 on the bottom there. Coming to lap number 20. Everyone here should be able to go another 4 or 5 laps or so at the most. So pit stops for this group likely coming within the next few laps, no matter what. And I think this was a highlight of why the decision was easy for the Nightmare Esports pack to pit when they did. They are gaining a lot of time over the leaders at the moment. They actually ran pretty much all of them running in the mid 44.50s, a 44.55 for Vicente and Landon Velicki. And they are about a second of a lap faster than Gabe Butler, about 0.8 of a second faster that last time by than Gabe Butler and Justin Davis, who are leading the 2 lanes of this lead pack at the moment. So that is going to bode well, as you see at one point it was around 33.5 seconds that Velicki was behind our leaders. Now that's down to 33.5, gaining almost 2 seconds over the last couple laps, as there's a little bit of disorganization from this lead pack at the moment here. No real connection for pushing anybody towards the front of this pack at the moment. Gabe Butler still leads it. He does still have Everett Lane behind him and his teammate. William Roberts and Gary Huffines there as they get better connected down the back straightaway. In the inside lane, looking to get ready for pit stops here in just a few laps. So that could potentially be the difference here. And you see, you can even watch on the ticker or the tower how much Guerrero, now leading that pack, is catching our leaders. That gap now down to under 31 seconds. And every second that they can gain on this pack is potentially a second that they could pull away from them once everybody here makes their pit stop, and could allow that 5-car breakaway and put them in the lead once it all cycles out under this green flag pit cycle here. 88 continue to lead up top, 24, 21, 98. Inside lane, it's the 39, the 83, the 10, and the 19 all working together. No urgency from the top line to get down to the bottom that we've seen as far as being in position to be able to make a pit stop, as 24 and the 88 push out a couple car lengths ahead even of the 21 as that outside lane continues to prevail. And still no answer for the pit stops as the 21 takes good momentum below the 24. The 98 is going to be there to give a push. And they're better connected through 1 and 2, so we'll see if they have enough momentum to try and get ahead of our leaders down the back straightaway. And indeed, 21 does. And we'll see with 5 cars now in the inside lane if anybody's going to be looking to make a pit stop here, as the 88 and the 24 are able to get clear. The 2 not able to do it, though. So the 2 and now the 39, who's joined the high lane, are stuck out there for the moment. And it's likely that the 39 will have to fall back to his teammates and either get in line or see if they'll improve their position before they come down pit road, which should be any lap now. And man, look at that gap from Nagels now to Butler. So these guys are cycling through, and you can see where the leader will pull off once the guy behind him is getting too hot. When you're pushing the car in front of you, obviously that seals off the air inlets and doesn't allow clean air to get into the nose of these Gen 6 cars and cool those engines down. So what they're doing, obviously see Nagels leading that pack now. Man, that gap down to 27.5 seconds almost. It was 33.5 when they came off of pit road and got back up to speed at the most. So that gap has shrunk by almost 6 seconds. They're faster by about half a second a lap or more in that 5-car pack versus this lead pack. And we'll jump back to them now. We were trying to see the others, waiting for them to come down pit road, but you can see what will happen is the lead was originally Landon Veliky, then it fell to Guerrero, and they've cycled back to put the 16 of Nagels in the lead, and at some point the 16 will pull off when the 14's temperatures are getting too hot and continue to do that cycle there. And as we see now, we're going to jump to the front. A little bit of a slide for the 39, but hopefully okay, and down to pit road speed as the Valvoline team all pits together. Justin Davis, Brandon Briggs, Hayden Davis. Again, 2 cousins working together with Brandon Briggs, fellow broadcaster here on Green White Checker TV. And that's going to leave Gabe Butler, Everett Lane, William Roberts, Todd Merkel, Gary Huffines, and Jack Walls in a 6-pack, who have yet to pit for the second time for tonight. And I'm curious with this number here, they may be able to stretch that first fuel run out long enough. I'm not sure, but they're coming, lap 27 coming to 28. And if these guys could stretch 3 more laps of fuel, this group might be able to eliminate 1 pit stop over the Nightmare Esports guys. It would be a stretch for them to pull it off, but it is possible, and could also explain why we saw the difference in speed, where this 5-pack was consistently half a second or more faster a lap, as these 5 are going to regain the lead, and you're going to see a large gap as this group is now coming off of pit road. Ooh, some going over or above the double yellow line, which in iRacing is not permitted until you get to the back straightaway. And you can see that blue line there with that cone. That allows you to merge up onto the speedway after that line. And that could be some pit road penalties for a couple drivers here. But man, look at the gap difference. Pitting over 10 laps sooner, about 12 laps sooner for Nightmare Esports. And now you see the same thing. Cody Nagels is going to drop to the back. And that is going to promote the 14 to the lead of that group, with the 62, the 41, the 78, and the 16 all nose to tail. And they have a, man, it's going to be over 15 seconds by the time this second pack gets up to speed, potentially. But Everett, Lane, Jack Walls, William Roberts, Gabe Butler all in this group. Hayden and Justin Davis, Brandon Briggs, and Todd Merkel have found each other. And then we see Gary Huffines. So no penalties for Gary Huffines, thankfully, or he potentially still be waiting to serve it. So we'll see this time by if anybody has to serve it. No penalties for anybody ahead. And the 98 not coming to serve, so may not have been an issue like I thought for a unsafe pit exit penalty. But Gary Huffines does lose the draft, which is going to be detrimental for him, especially if we continue this green flag nature that we've seen over the last 20 laps or so. And back at the front, we now see the 78 of Carlbin ahead of Nagels. And these guys are slowly, I thought slowly gaining still, but actually if you look at it, the gap's pretty well situated there at about 13 seconds from Carlbin all the way back to Lane in 6th place. About 13 separates them, which is quite a large distance. I don't even think we have a camera view. See if we can find one. There may not be a camera view that actually allows us to see both sets of cars at the same time. Other than maybe Blimp, not even Blimp. There you go, Scenic, that counts, I guess. But, yeah, so a commanding breakaway for this lead pack, and you could tell they're kind of settling in. The second group is catching them just a little bit. We'll see at the stripe, get an idea of where that gap is and the difference in the lap times are at. But Carlbin now working on lap number 32. These guys pit on lap 15. So it's looking more like we've seen closer to 20 laps almost actually for pit stops. Everybody pitting mostly on lap 7 or 8 under the first yellow. And then we saw that split strategy from that second group at least, some pitting on lap 26, some pitting on 27. It has been since lap 15 since these guys have come down pit road. So they could be in fuel save mode a little bit here as well. It does also help with the way they've been shuffling. It keeps one person from having to lead the whole pack and gives them a chance to save a little bit of fuel, which it looks like they're able to do to continue to stay on the racetrack here. And you can see that gap now back to Lane is decreasing quite quickly, as that last time by, Everett Lane runs a 45-13, leading this second group here. Evan Carlbrunn runs a 46.62, which is obviously over a second and a half slower. And even worse is Everett Lane updates, runs a 45.03 that last time by. So these guys are catching those leaders a lot quicker, as these guys appear to be saving a little bit of fuel themselves, and now they'll come down pit road lap number 34 for their third pit stop of the night. Everybody getting down to pit road speeds as good as they can. And the lead pack is going to pass him on by, so that's going to put Everett Lane back to the lead. And that should give him a bonus point for a lap led there, I believe, depending on whether or not Nightmare Esports had passed the start-finish line. But if not, no worries. Lane will likely lead this lap. And we'll see Cody Nagels come out ahead of Vicente. Then they're going to sort it out. John Ellis, Landon Velicki, and Evan Carlbrunn. Working on lap number 35, almost to the halfway point of tonight's race. Again, if we can see this pack up ahead here save 2 to 3 laps over the course of the rest of the race, should it go green, these guys may have to pit one less time than the rest of the Nightmare Esports group, and if so, the running order that you see right now could be indicative of the gaps that we'll see back to the second pack. If they have to stop just as many times, then it may even out in the favor of Nightmare Esports, who obviously had a pretty commanding lead once everybody had made the same amount of pit stops. So again, these guys came in last at 26 and 27. Your front four coming at lap 27, the next three coming at 26. And then Todd Merkel off of the pace of this group by about 21 seconds. And then another 7 seconds back to Gary Huffines, who will likely be caught by the Nightmare Esports group, who last time by was about a tenth faster than the lead pack, and settling out to about a 30-second gap behind them. '98 moves to the high side out of courtesy, and the 16 says, oh no, you're going to lead this pack here for us, and you're going to save me some fuel. So that's going to put Gary Huffines ahead. And again, these guys should collect Todd Merkel here in the number of laps. But Everett Lane up at the front with Jack Walls, William Roberts, Gabe Butler, and Hayden Davis, Justin Davis, Brandon Briggs. So we've got Roberts with the Underdogs group in this pack. Typically see the 19, 10, and 39 running under that same banner, though I do not see them here in Discord tonight. So using a different group chat potentially than the rest of the Underdogs. Then there's two of the Team Bootnaka Esports drivers in Lane and Butler up here. And the Roswell Motorsports entry of Jack Walls running solo tonight. Another solo driver is actually going to be the two of Todd Merkel, his teammate for 1320 Enterprises of Maxwell Caldwell, fifth in the points, is unable to join us here tonight, so this will count as one of his 2 drop weeks. And this pack of the Nightmare Esports, pushing Gary Huffines, is going to collect Todd Merkel here as well, assuming the gap doesn't get too large for the two. behind the 78 there. So with that, I think we've got pretty much everybody in one of these two packs. Why don't we take a quick moment to do a through the field while we have the chance? And start with Everett Lane here, as he is currently first, started in the 4th position in that number 24, again for Team Bootnaka Esports. Jack Walls running the Delaware University Toyota, currently second, starting in the 6th position, having a pretty good night. Again, the lone entry for today for Roswell Motorsports. William Roberts in the number 21 Chevrolet, started 10th and is currently working in the last of the 3 podium placings. Gabe Butler here tonight in the Guinness Chevrolet, started 2nd, fell back to 4th, but still up in this lead pack at the moment. Then we go back to the Valvoline trio of Hayden Davis, currently 5th, starting 8th. Cousin Justin just behind him in one of the Mark Martin style Valvoline schemes. Then we go back to Brandon Briggs for another throwback to, I believe, another Mark Martin scheme in the 19 with the Scott Riggs style throwback. Brandon is currently in that 7th position. Gary Huffines is in the 8th position, and he is running for position with Vicente Guerrero and the rest of the Nightmare Esports drivers, but Gary pitting 7 laps ahead of these guys, and Gary yet to make his 3rd stop of the night, as the guys behind him have already. So for Gary, could be a tough situation to find him in, as these guys are going to be going quite a bit longer on fuel than he will be able to here. And unless he can pit with Todd Merkel in this group, will put him in a tougher spot. But we go back to the group of 5 of Nightmare Esports drivers. Vicente Guerrero currently in that 9th position. And remember, these guys are on a bit of a split strategy. They came down and pitted on lap 15 after the caution on lap 6. And could be in a position to leapfrog the leaders if they do not have to pit one less time than this group. Cody Nagel's there in that number 16. Beautiful Budweiser throwback with the Nightmare Esports logo on the hood. Currently in that 10th position after grabbing the pole for tonight. His teammate John Ellis just behind in that Mobil 1 Ford Mustang. Getting beaten out by the Valvoline guys for now, but obviously strategy could work in their favor if this all plays out the way they hope. Landon Velicky in that 12th position there just behind. And then we have the last of the Nightmare Esports guys, Evan Carlbin in that number 78, currently in that number 13th position. And then again, Todd Merkel here, 4th position in this group, running for 1320 Enterprises. But the challenge for the 98 and the 2 in this group again is going to be that they will not be able to go as far as the Nightmare Esports drivers will on fuel. So that next pit stop will be coming soon. And actually, as we say that, we jump back to our leaders here. And Jack Walls, Lane was actually leading at the time. They are side by side as they come down pit road. But Lane leads the field down pit road here for their 3rd stop of the night. And I'll be curious to see if Gary Huffines and Todd Merkel answer the call and come down this time by together, and they will do so. Ooh, a little bit of a lockup there potentially. Hopefully everyone down pit road speeds okay. Jack Walls is going to come out ahead, and then there go the 5 to the lead for Nightmare Esports. And we'll see where their gap evens out as they come off of pit road. A little bit of a separation between Jack Walls, William Roberts, Justin Davis. You go back to Hayden Davis and Gabe Butler. They're pretty well connected, and so are Brandon Briggs and Everett Lane. And then we see Merkel and Huffine. So that's going to help. At least these two will have each other to draft with. We'll have to minimize some of the bleeding for losing that lead draft. Oh, a little bit of a slide there for Gary Huffines, actually, and he's going to jump to pit road. So I take it back. That is going to put the 2 on an island by himself, well behind drivers on the same strategy as him. And as we jump back to the lead and look over to the scoreboard, we're clicking down the laps now, inside of 30 laps to go, so 29 and counting down as we continue on versus counting up. Ellis leads this group with Veliky, Karlbin, Nagels, and Guerrero, who will be the top 5. Should the strategy work out, and you see that gap back to Jack Walls is about 9 seconds now, and that is shrinking. So I'm curious to see if these guys are trying to save a little bit more fuel. You can see that the 62, not a perfect connection to the front or the rear bumper of that 14. At one point, this lead was, I think, closer to 12 seconds after the previous round of pit stops, and that number is decreasing quickly, which would, I would believe, be indicative of fuel save mode for this top 5, as they were about a second slower that last time by than Jack Walls, William Roberts, Justin Davis, and this second group. Who are coming around to the tri-oval here to complete yet another lap. So last time by was a 48.42 for Ellis and a 45.77 for Jack Walls. So maximum fuel save mode, it looks like, here for the Nightmare Esports drivers, as their gap is quickly fading. And for the first time tonight, we can see just about every car on track. Well, I should say first time in a while, at least. We can see every car on track within the same camera shot down the back straightaway. Curious to see if this is just a fuel saving strategy, because you can see the difference in speed here as these leaders catch this group. It's a little interesting that the Nightmare Esports guys would have given up such a lead. Again, presumably to fuel savings, but we'll have to find out later on. And Jack Walls is going to be promoted to the lead here, with William Roberts, Justin Davis, Hayden Davis, Brandon Briggs, I believe, is stuck out on the high side. Nope, Landon Veliky's going to let him down, so it's going to be a single car train with 26 laps to go for everybody in the top 12. You got to go back to Todd Merkel for about 40 seconds back, so he should be being caught by this pack, and when he does, it'll be everybody out on the racing surface within the same group for the first time since pretty much the green flag dropped. And we see Huffines and Eric Laurie as our first 2 retirees. "25 laps to go. It'll be 24 as they cross the stripe here. Another lap led for Jack Walls. But the Valvoline trio is making their way forward. Justin Davis leading Hayden and Brandon Briggs. "21 of Roberts promoted to the 4th position. And they shuffle Jack Walls further on back, which puts Landon Veliky up into the top 5. As the 41, the 14, and some of the rest of the field likely going to shuffle Jack Walls back to the tail end of this here. Unless he can find a hole down to the bottom. At the lead, though, it is Justin Davis Cousin Hayden and Brandon Briggs getting clear to the lead. They drop to the bottom, which puts the 21 out to dry in that high side as we catch the 2 of Merkel, the lap car, who will go 1 down. So that puts everybody together once again. Todd Merkel, the only lap car, everybody else on the lead lap in this pack here, as cousins Justin and Hayden lead the field. And it does concern me a little bit that they are that far out. It's fairly likely that by the time the 21 gets to the rear bumper, he'll have a head of steam that's large enough to move to the top, and he will do just so, but unfortunately does not have a great connection to the 62. Oh, little side draft in contact for the 19 there with the 21. And the 21 is going to get down ahead of the 19. Curious to understand that story, too, because I know typically we'd see William Roberts running with those guys in the underdogs chat, but again, we do not see 10, 19, or 39 here in Discord anywhere. So working in a different voice chat than one of their typical teammates, and a little bit of miscommunication from it looked like, with the 19 and 21 making contact, as we see Nightmare Esports making another pit stop with 22 laps to go. This means that they're going to have to pit one more time to get to the end of this race. One more time after this pit stop to clarify. Justin Davis, Hayden Davis, Jack Walls. Gabe Butler, Everett Lane, Brandon Briggs all in this pack here. These guys pit on lap 45, so they've been stretching 1 to 2 laps extra than expected, which could put the Nightmare Esports drivers in a bit of a pickle. They're going to have to pit once more to the end, whereas these guys, I think, will be able to do the same, but they've got a 36-second advantage. Based on this and the field calculations, I believe Nightmare Esports would have been counting on this group not being able to pit to the end one less time than them, but they stretched their fuel as far as they could go after that first caution and could allow them to pit one last time. This group here has only pit 3 times. They'll be coming to their 4th pit stop in just a few laps here once the window to the end is open, presumably. And Nightmare Esports, pitting on lap 54, made their 5th pit stop of the night. Sorry, excuse me, it would have been their 4th because they would have come down pit road a 2nd time under caution. So this group has this group here on screen, led by Davis, Walls, Roberts, Butler, has pit 3 times. The Nightmare Esports group has pit 4. Obviously, these guys will come down pit road a 4th time as well, but when they do, they'll have enough fuel to go to the end, and Nightmare Esports will have to pit a 5th time, which will put them back to their 37-second deficit that we see here. And a bit of a miscalculation, unfortunately, on their part, which could be their undoing for tonight. Justin, Hayden, Jack, William, and Gabe, still your top 5 single file. And I think they're still trying to save fuel in that 2nd pack. It's going to be a tall task to do that, though, from where they pit to the end, because they'll have to go 21 laps, and we haven't seen much more over 16 or 17 from anybody. By the time these guys come down pit road, it should be close to where Nightmare Esports could be able to try and conservatively save to the end, and we can see that happening where they're saving about 0.4 of a second a lap of fuel over our leaders. Running 0.4 slower that last time by. 54 flat for the leaders, 45 flat for the leaders, 45 fours for Nightmare Esports, and we see a gaggle of cars coming down pit road, led by the Davis cousins, Gabe Butler, Jack Walls, William Roberts, Everett Lane, and Brandon Briggs. 16 laps to go. This should be their final pit stop of the night, and with the gap that they had to the Nightmare Esports drivers when they came down pit road, should put them in good shape. And we'll see here Gabe Butler coming off of pit road. Cody Nagel's leading this second pack here. And they should be able to start catching the tail end of those drivers. And they're going to go to the high side here, but that's going to put everybody together, so really this 5-pack's going to have to do everything that they can to save and stay at the back of this pack here. And they don't really have an opportunity to be aggressive because they're going to have to save fuel like absolute crazy in order to make it to the end. Gabe Butler pushed out, well, didn't get pushed out, but was out ahead of everybody else after the pit stops there. And the 10's going to give him a gentle nudge to get him up to speed. But with how far the 88 got out ahead under pit stops, that allowed everybody else to catch up to him who had drafting help. And that is going to put the top 12 all together here, and the 2 of Todd Merkel. So this is the only pack out on track. And we'll be waiting to see whether or not the 62, the 41, the 78, the 14, and the 16 for Nightmare Esports is going to have to pit one more time to get to the end. Everybody else pitting on lap number 59. Which puts them fairly comfortably to the end. Been a lot of fuel-saving action so far tonight. Does help for the broadcast to get a split strategy going. Unfortunately for Nightmare Esports, it could have been, again, their undoing if they pitted too soon and cannot stretch the fuel the rest of the way. They will not be able to be aggressive in this pack and will have to save more fuel than we've seen anybody save all night long, which, again, will be quite the tall task. Everybody ahead of them has 5 extra laps of fuel than they do. And in that position, for Nagels, Velicki, Guerrero, Carlin, and Ellis, is such a bummer to be in, because you're playing defense to the end, where you're trying to save fuel. You can't be aggressive, because if you do, you will not save fuel. And may still have to pit anyway. So it does take some discipline, and to finish that as strongly, as you can, you just kind of have to, bite your tongue, take your pride, whatever you want to call it. But you know that strategy didn't fall your way, so you just got to make the best of it and see what you can do to continue to execute. And unfortunately, sometimes that's part of racing, and props to these guys. That's a hard thing to do when you don't have, obviously we don't have spotters in iRacing. There's no crew chief. You do have everybody in your group chat, your team chat, and sometimes people chatting in the open mic in the iRacing lobby here through the all teams chat. But that's all the strategy you have, or the only people you have to strategize with. And you're trying to do that while you're also trying to race at over 200 miles an hour. Now, again, still virtual world, video game, whatever you want to call it. But not the easiest thing to do to try and, do math. Ooh, block from the 88 as the 16 gets a run. That's going to make a bit of a mess in the back here, and we're going to continue to spin, and it looks like we are going to finally have that caution here coming out for the 41 of Vicente Guerrero, mostly going around, and some major damage, it looks like, to that 41. Actually, saying that looks a little bit better than originally thought, but it's definitely going to be damage repair. And you see, yeah, that right front fender, that right front tire sticking out, so yeah, quite a bit of damage there to the 41. Doesn't look much on the body panels there, but I can guarantee you, if you can see that right front tire at all, there's going to be some fast repairs burned for that 41. And we'll take it back to the point of caution here. You see the 41 already sliding, and because it was so delayed, we're going to have to rewind quite a ways back to grab a camera point within iRacing live timing and scoring from SDK. So give us a moment here, and we'll try and keep an eye on this and take it back to where it all happened. So you see the 16 and the 62 with the run down the back straightaway, and it kind of all started here. They have a good run, and they try to take it 3 wide to the outside, and Gabe Butler says, nope, you're going to push me. And gets there, gets the shove from the 16, but that starts to stack up everybody in that pack here. The Nightmare Esports guys are saying, hey, it's time to go. And when they did, that got us 4 wide. The 24 and the 2 make contact side by side. And this is where everybody starts to slide a little bit. 4 wide again there for the 19, the 24, the 78, the 2. 4 wide still for the 41, 19, 24, and 78. And that is where we finally had enough to cause a caution as the 41 overcorrects the spin into the 19. And they both make hard contact to the outside wall. 24 involved. The 14 there getting a piece of it at the very end. And we'll see if we can tell. There's John Ellis. I'm going to rewind that just a little bit here just to see if he made any additional contact. Yeah, so he makes the contact with a 19 here. And I wasn't sure how close they were to the inside wall there, but man, look at that save for the 14. Gets it straightened out. So does the 19. And they don't make any additional contact from there, but obviously the 19 already making contact with the outside wall as the engine oil wars continue. 3 of the Valvoline drivers, a couple of them torn up there, and the Mobil 1 Ford Mustang mostly unscathed. And we'll jump back live here now. So Justin Davis, Jack Walls, Gabe Butler, William Roberts, and Everett Lane stayed out on the speedway as expected. John Ellis and everyone on back comes down pit road for fuel. Some get tires, some also some fast repairs most likely. And that is going to put a 12-car field back together. Todd Merkel was supposed to be the lucky dog candidate. I believe he was actually involved in that incident, which makes him ineligible as the lucky dog, so he'll have to remain 1 lap down. And we'll see the lights go off on the pace car here. We'll be coming back to green next time by, but before we do, we'll take just another quick commercial break and hear from Whiplash SimCams. We saw the urgency pick up for some of the Nightmare Esports drivers. And with that, the second caution of the night. Justin Davis side by side with Jack Walls, the 88 of Butler with Roberts side by side. Pace car dives onto pit road, and we're ready to go once again here at Area 51 on Green White Checker TV. Green flag back out on the speedway. 8 laps to go, 7 as they cross the stripe. At this point, the gloves are off. Everybody has made their final pit stop. And I think this bodes best for the Nightmare Esports, who are going to try to make the third lane happen already, as they were potentially in a pickle for having to save fuel to get to the end, but no longer. The caution does help them. And the intensity is going to be the highest it's been all night. Gabe Butler moves to the high side. He's going to throw a block on the boot. He is the lone boot knocker driver. He's going to throw a block, and then more drivers are going to wreck behind them. 24 making contact, which puts the 83 and the 10 into the wall. Third caution of the night. Some may say cautions breed cautions. So you can see it unfolding here. Try to jump back to the replay point that we have. And unfortunately, it's already developing at this point, so we'll just do a little quick rewind for you here. And you saw the 83, or the 88, kind of makes the block on the 83, comes up to the high side off of 4, and then the 88 goes up to cover the top side. But the important thing here is obviously that Jack Walls is kind of stuck here in the middle, and as he comes through, moves down to avoid the 16, and as a 24 was coming up to try and fill that same hole, a little bit of a racing incident there, and unfortunately puts the 10 in the worst spot of it, as the 39, oh man, gets collected as well. So the 39, the 83, and the 10 involved, and the 2 and the 78 make it through okay. Oh man, for Todd Merkel here, avoids the wreck by having to go through the grass. And if that is a 1X for going off track, that could keep him from getting the lucky dog once again on consecutive cautions. I don't think at this point anybody's going to pit. And yeah, it looks like Todd Merkel is stuck 1 lap down, and I don't see him in a position to be able to be waved around the pace car. Oh man, what an unfortunate last 2 cautions for the 2 of Merkel, not of his own doing. Gets caught up in the wreck in the previous, and then in this caution, to avoid contact with the 78, drives below the grass and likely gets a 1X penalty. So we'll see, hopefully maybe this time by that he actually is allowed to wave around, but we'll see. I don't think anybody's coming down pit road. No, I take it back. We got a couple stragglers further on back. So pit road is now open, so that's Brandon Briggs and Justin Davis coming down. So I'll take it back for the 2 of Merkel. He still could wave around the pace car, but I believe it would have had him going around this lap. And he is not doing so. So I think that was a correct assumption that hitting the grass was a 1X contact for the 2. And again, with iRacing's rules, if you are in the lucky dog position and you make contact of any sort, whether it's with the grass, the wall, another car, or anything, you spin out and cause an incident point within iRacing's rules, you will not be eligible for the lucky dog, and it looks like that is the case. So unfortunately for Todd, I think at this point his best bet is just to back off the pack and let everybody race it out, because now that's 2 cautions in a row where he's been caught up in incident points, which have kept him from getting back on the lead lap. Because if he can get back, there still could be an opportunity for him to better his position of 13th. But you can't do it trapped a lap down. And the only way you can pass any cars at this point is attrition, which is still likely, but with only 3 cautions so far tonight and not a lot of fast repairs burned, it's fairly unlikely. But with that, cautions do give us opportunities within the broadcast booth here. And we'll step away once again to hear from our friends at 40racewear.com.
40 Racewear, makers of the ultimate sim racing shoes and custom apparel designed for sim racing by sim racers. 40 racing shoes are engineered to connect racers to the pedals in a way no other racing shoe can, all the while giving you the comfort needed to complete those double and triple stints. Visit 40racewear.com and check out the latest sim racing products that let you connect to your sim.
We are re-racked and re-stacked after the 3rd caution of the night. Lights are out on the pace car. We'll be going green next time by. It will be the first attempt at a green-white checkered, I believe. It could have been a... could be a natural attempt at a green-white checkered. Either way, natural meaning that by the time he would have gone back green, the race wouldn't have been extended, but in iRacing it'll count as the first attempt as a green-white checkered regardless. So Gabe Butler leading the inside line. Team Bootnaka Esports. Nightmare Esports has John Ellis, first car in the outside lane. Also has 16 of Nagels, second car in the inside lane, and the second car of Vince Guerrero in the outside lane. And then back to Bootnaka is the 24 of Everett in the inside lane. So that separates the 2 Team Bootnaka drivers for tonight by 1 of the Nightmare Esports drivers, who are lined up again nose to tail on the outside. Further on back is Carlbin behind the 24, and then the 62 of Veliki. Sprinkling in the 10, the 39, the 19. Further on back, and Jack Walls as well, as we get underway once again. The 88's going to get way out ahead. And side by side are the 2 teammates, the 16 and the 14. 24's trying to figure out what he needs to do in order to get to his teammate there. For now, he's just going to push the 16 ahead. And if the 16 gets clear, we'll likely see him move to the top. But the 88's going to say, nope, I'm going to do that. And misses the block. Misses the block on the bottom, gets stuck in the middle. He does get to pick up the 24 of Lane. But now, bouncing off the walls on the outside here. The 88 and the 24 get back to the bottom. And there's no real momentum to the high side at the moment. The 24 pushing the best. And the 21 and the 88 made contact through 3 and 4. 2 laps to go. It'll be white flag here at the stripe. And we will race it back to the line, even if the caution comes out. Ellis takes the white flag. He has a teammate lined up behind him. Then it's back to Roberts and another teammate who's trying to split the middle for Nightmare Esports. The 88 and the 24 with a head of steam in the bottom lane at the moment. It's 3 Nightmare Esports, 4 in the middle lane. 21 is left out to dry on the high side. Side by side down the back straightaway, the 14 with the advantage, 41, 16, 78 pulling ahead, the 10 trying to duck down to the bottom of the 24, not going to happen. 62 gets a little squirrely on further back, but we're going to keep focused right here on the front as Ellis has Guerrero behind him, and the 16 of Nagels, they run it side by side to the line. Is Guerrero going to have enough to get around on the outside? He does! beats his teammate to the line, and it is a top 3, top 4 even for Nightmare Esports. As chaos ensues post checkered flag here. Vince grabbing the win, making the move off of turn number 4 around the outside of Ellis, has the momentum. And I know he's got some fans watching in the stands, excited to see him collect that race victory here on Sunday night. And we'll get through the rest of that finishing order here in just a second, as we're going to see a teammate 1, 2, 3, 4 finish, and some celebration on the front straightaway. So went to double check it, but I can confirm this is the 9th race of the season, and it is the 9th win for Nightmare Esports. It is the 2nd win for Vince this season. He won last on February 22nd in week 6. And everybody for Nightmare Esports has grabbed at least 1 victory. Nagels with 3, Ellis with 2, now Vince with 2, Carlbin with 1, and Landon Velicki with 1. So with that, we'll bring some of those guys up to the booth here. We'll do we'll go back to the old school method. We'll do the top 3 and do them one by one. I know we've done a clean sweep interview of all of the drivers for the team when they get a chance. We don't want to leave CC2 Velicki out, so with that, we'll just go with the top 3 for tonight. Getting that set up here, and we'll have that in just a second, but we'll go through those race results before we get into anything else. And you see Vince getting that checkered flag for Nightmare Esports, and John Ellis getting beat out to the line there by 43 thousandths of a second. Cody Nagels there in that 16. In the 3rd position, Evan Carlbin in that 78. Just 2/10 behind. Gabe Butler just barely behind him in that 5th position. Everett Lane there in 6th. Jack Wallace for Roswell Motorsports finishes in that 7th position. Justin Davis and Hayden Davis, those guys kind of caught behind in the further back in that pack with all that chaos, unable to move forward after the restart. Landon Velicki in a similar situation. William Roberts was up at the front, but unfortunately got shuffled towards the back of the pack there. And then we saw Brandon Briggs in that number 39, the last car in that lead pack. Todd Merkel, unfortunately, losing the eligibility for the lucky dog on the final 2 cautions, unable to get his lap back to improve his position, will finish 13th. And we saw the early retire for Gary Huffines after spinning on the pit out of, I think it would have been the 3rd pit cycle, and then Eric Laurie not able to start tonight's race. So with that, we'll bring some of these drivers back into the booth. Starting with the 16 of Cody Nagels. And we'll bring him here in the booth. Starting from the pole position, Cody grabbing that 3rd overall spot. Definitely a bit of a chaotic night with some of the fuel strategy that we saw. And then obviously some cautions breeding cautions, and a little bit of chaos there on that green, white, checkered. Still able to come home with a 1, 2, 3, 4 finish for the team. Take us through how you got there.
I mean, up until the end, it was, I thought, a pretty calm race, and then it just seemed like at the end we were getting a little bit racy, and I'm looking at it now. I say we, but it looked like the pack was 3 wide, possibly 4 briefly, but just looked like there was some contact between a couple guys that were in the back, and looked like Vince was trying to save it and then lost control. But kind of unfortunate for a race to finish like that. I think it was gonna just start getting spicy up front, but we didn't want the race to be boring or anything like that. We wanted everyone to be packed up again, and we backed down and let the leaders get to us, saved a little fuel, and then it was go time, and we went, and it seemed like it all kind of came unraveled there at the end twice.
Yeah, twice indeed. So that was one thing that I really wanted to talk to you guys about, and I guess thank you for finishing third, so I could ask you. We saw you guys pit on lap 15, and then I think based on that knowledge, you were expecting everybody else to have to pit the same amount of times even after that caution at lap 6 or so. So I assume at that point you guys realized that, oh no, these guys aren't going to have to pit again, so we need to save a bunch of fuel. Is that correct?
Yeah, we could have went a few more laps and been like really good, but we decided, you know, just pit right on the number, make things a little bit interesting, which I think we made it a little bit too interesting. But I don't know. It makes for a little bit different when you have a few varying strategies in the race. And I mean, again, it's not like there's a lot of numbers, so if we went pretty cookie cutter on the strategy, I think that it was just going to become a boring race. So might as well split the strategies up a little bit and make it at least somewhat fun as far as being able to talk about the differing strategies and how it's going to work. But we definitely had to save a little bit, which is why we backed it down.
Well, I will say, for the broadcast sake, you guys think about that more than I think any team ever has, and we do appreciate that quite a bit. Because I'll be honest, just based on the numbers, I was not expecting you guys to be able to make it to the end. I thought you'd have to pit with maybe one or two to go, but man, that was pretty incredible to know that you saved that much fuel. And obviously, as that second caution was coming out, I assume that was the point where you guys said, "All right, we've got enough to the end, and we can go." And obviously, you try to go to the high side on Gabe, and he throws the block there. You push him into three, and that kind of shuffles the field and accordions it, and leads to that second caution. But I assume based on that urgency, it seemed like you guys were like, "We've hit our numbers. Let's go."
Yeah, that was essentially it. Is just once we got there, go, because Evan told me he was right on the number. We were trying to wait as late as possible, but we didn't want to wait too late to where we wouldn't have any track position. So it was go time, and I was actually very surprised. We had a really good bit of speed coming on uh, Gabe. He threw a good block, and it just again we got really really racy there at the end, and it was a clean block. Definitely was nothing wrong with the block, and I
Yeah.
had to back out of it because I didn't want to spin him or anything like that. But again, I got to expect them guys to throw a lot at us at this point, and they did. It was a very fun finish.
Yeah, that was. I mean, definitely, I don't want to say aggression because I mean, obviously, you said the block was fair and Gabe's a pretty calculated driver, but it was, there's a little bit of aggression there for them trying to hold you guys up there to stay up front. So, and it seemed like you guys were racing pretty hard towards the end there, which I mean, obviously for us was exciting to see.
Yeah, for sure. You gotta, like I said, you want to do things to kind of make it, not just for the broadcast purposes, but for the race purposes. You want to try to bring some of these drivers back, and you want to try to spice it up because the numbers have been a little bit low, and hopefully we can get the numbers back, recruit a little bit for next season. But you definitely don't want these races to stagnate where it's single file the entire race. That's no fun at all for anyone watching or for the drivers. So I'm happy when guys go out there and they race hard, they throw blocks, and they race a very calculated but aggressive race, which is what Gabe and his group were running. It kind of gives us a little bit of a challenge. It makes us have to step our game up a little bit. And, Gabe and the Boot Knockers have had their share of success in the league as well. And hopefully, coming into, future seasons, we can kind of go back and forth a little bit with some larger fields.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously, Guile and I talked about this last week where you kind of rolls through seasons of different teams are good at different times, but I mean we've seen some incredible execution from the likes of TW Motorsports. Obviously, you mentioned the Bootnakas. Roswell has had some really great races, and obviously you guys are the ones who are doing it at a really high level right now, and that's definitely got to feel good coming in towards the end of the season here.
Yeah, for sure. We just got to keep the momentum up, and I'll have to take a look at standings to see where Evan's at because I know he's missed quite a few races, and we want to try to get him in the playoffs. So that'll be my next priority is get Evan in if we can, and then just go from there. I think we put all of our guys in the playoffs. I think we have a pretty good shot for someone to take home the championship.
Yeah, based on the graphic that I had for points at the beginning of the night, I didn't see him in the top 16, so he
Yeah.
could be further back. But regardless, congratulations to you guys. A solid finish. Obviously, when you guys have done like the 1, 2, 3, 4, we've pulled you all up together, but I figured we just do the three individual, because obviously, unfortunately, Landon having to finish towards the back half of that top 10 there, but still a solid effort from you guys all night long, and a really solid third place finish for you, Cody. So we'll roll that red carpet out for you. Any thanks or shout outs you'd like to give?
Yeah, I want to thank you for broadcasting and all the admins with Area 51, all my teammates at Nightmare, and yeah, I'm looking at the standings now, trying to see how we can get Evan in, and I don't know after this race how it's going to shake up, but it looked like he was 23 points out of the lead, 2 spots out. So I think we're still going to have a little bit of work going into next week. So I think that's got to be our top priority.
Indeed. Well, hopefully, see you guys can pull it off. And yeah, anything else? Thanks or shout outs you'd like to give?
Nope,
Okay.
that'll do it. I do want to give a shout out again to Gael and his family, and just know that they're all the Brooks families, and my thoughts and prayers. That's obviously at this point in
Yeah.
time, as far as Area 51 and everything else, that's got to be it's got to be top priority because it's a tough time, and I just want Gal to know that we're thinking of him.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely a lot of support that we've heard. And obviously, both myself calling the action Friday night and Gael were choked up both at different times. And definitely appreciate to hear all the support that he's gotten. But yeah, well, congratulations to you, Cody, and hopefully get a chance to talk to you again real soon.
Thank you.
Alrighty, second place went to John Ellis, and he is going to win the battle of the Motor Royals for tonight. Obviously, a solid effort from Valvoline to put 3 cars in the field, but it was the number 14 Mobile 1 scheme who comes out victorious in that battle, coming home in that second position tonight, John.
Yeah, it was a fun race. We were kind of off strategy, separated ourselves out there a little bit, so we didn't run with the pack most of the race. But it was a nice clean race, and we found ourselves back in the pack when it counted, and luckily we were able to work our way to the front and get the I think 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. Obviously, the 62 a little bit further on back there in 10th, but I mean, still a solid effort for you guys for the team all night long. You had me a little bit worried, I will say, for fuel strategy. We talked to Cody about that just a little bit already. Wasn't sure if you guys were going to be able to make it the distance, but it sounded like you guys hit your fuel numbers and were ready to go, even though you obviously pit right on that window there and had to stretch about 5 more laps than everybody else in the field.
Yeah, we definitely cut it close. We were saving pretty much every run, trying to work our way out of that gap, but I think we were good for the end, especially with being in the pack. It was going to be close for sure, but like I said, I think we were good. Yeah, definitely had us worried. I was sitting there, I was letting everyone else call the shots. I was sitting there watching the March Madness games on my other monitor the whole time. It's like, wait, what? We're pitting? What lap? How much fuel? Okay.
Yeah, no, I was speculating because I wasn't sure if you guys were gonna make it, and was gonna say it'd have been quite a battle to get there, but obviously you pull it off okay, and definitely a pretty solid effort to get to the front and kind of stay up there towards the end. But I mean, you guys, obviously once it all kind of unfolded, you seem to all kind of find each other and have a good shot to push towards the end for those last cautions and the last 2 cautions or so.
Yeah, it was gonna be interesting because we were all kind of back at the front, but we did have Gabe out there and Everett. I know they worked together, so we were trying to figure out what we could do to get around them on that. I guess it was a natural green white checker, but I
Yeah.
was I was content with pushing Gabe for another lap there. But I just honestly I couldn't figure out if he was trying to go wall or stay mid. And then by the time I got to him, I was like halfway off center, so I just yanked it away from him so I wouldn't wreck him and ended up going to his outside. which I mean it ended up working out for us. But then we were just kind of riding in line, trying to monitor the runs and see where we needed to go. And I was thinking the run was going to come from the bottom, and all of a sudden Vince got to my outside. He made a good move to get to my outside. I couldn't really contest it too much. Thought about dooring him, but told him I was like, I wasn't going to do that to him. So he made a good move, got to my outside, took the win. Happy with a 1, 2, 3, 4 and keeping it clean at the end.
Yeah, indeed. Definitely was curious to see if he could get there. Obviously, he could, but still a solid finish for you. Second tonight, second in the points. Um, Coming into tonight, I believe that's going to be the same after tonight as well. But obviously now you've got, I know Cody already talked about trying to get Evan in a good position to get into the playoffs as well. But for yourself, obviously, other than focusing on that for next week, we've got one more race before the playoffs start. What kind of mindset, or is there any mindset shift between how you guys have been attacking these, last 9 races to those final 4 races of the season, or is it pretty much going to be exactly the same as we've seen week in, week out?
I think for the most part, I mean, it's going to be the same. What we're doing is working, so don't want to change too much. I think obviously once playoff starts, especially later in the playoffs, I think it's going to be a little more each man for himself there, especially at the end. But I mean, the first 95% of the race, I think we're all just going to do the same thing and work with each other. The Gen 6 is a real fun car to drive. It's not too hard to make passes and generate runs, so we can work together for vast majority of the race and just really need the last couple of laps to fend for ourselves and see who comes out on top.
Yeah, sorry there, a little bit of a mic connection issue for me, John. But yeah, no, definitely a solid finish for you guys, and looking forward to seeing how you guys finish out the rest of the season. And congratulations for that second place finish, and we'll roll that red carpet out now for you for any thanks or shout-outs you'd like to give.
Yeah, thanks to you up in the booth. It looks like you were solo tonight, so appreciate you putting into work. I know that was probably a little more work for you, so hopefully it was a fun race for you to broadcast and watch. I can't wait to watch it back. Obviously, thanks to all the admins that run this. The Brooks family. Obviously, they've been going through a lot, so still thinking of them and hope everything's going as good as it can over there. And then lastly, just shout out to the teammates. Once again, we had a good race. Obviously, we couldn't get a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but I think we'll take a 1, 2, 3, 4 any day of the week. So just shout out to those guys.
Yeah, good deal. Solid execution for you guys, and congratulations on another solid top 3 finish and a 1, 2, 4 for the team, or 1, 2, 3, 4 for the team. But yeah, good luck, and we'll be seeing you.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Alrighty, we've got one more to go for tonight's interviews, and it is going to be race winner Vicente Guerrero coming in clutch, getting the pass on the teammate coming off of turn 4 to collect the victory, your second of the season. Tell us how you got there, buddy.
Um, I don't remember. Yeah, I mean, it was just a kickback race. Just chilling, just trying to keep a clean car, and staying with the teammates, working with the teammates. I think we pitted off sequence there, and we're just running our laps, and I think we just want to make it interesting. I think we fell back to the group guys there and just chill for a little bit, and then we just got bored and just started going, messing around, and I don't know what happened there. There was a late caution, and thank God there was a late caution, because if there wasn't a caution there, I would have been toast because I hit the wall pretty good. So I got lucky to get it back to my pits and get a fast repair and try to see if we get work back to the front. And yeah, I was able to. There was a late restart there, and man, Gabe took a nice jump there, and I couldn't keep up with John, uh, but was able to connect with him and made a couple moves there in the backstretch. Kind of bang, the car kind of felt funky to me tonight. I mean, I don't know. It would kept. I mean, I hit the wall twice there on my own, trying to just not get into Gabe there, or maybe I flinch or something, and I ping pong off the wall, but it didn't give me any damage. But I was able to maintain momentum, get to John there, and had a good run. Cody was sandwiched like a car behind me, and he took mid. And as soon as he took mid and established that mid, and I jumped down to the middle to get him to get close to me, and Evan too, and we're like connected in the mid, four wide or four deep, and had a good run off of four, and got connected to John. We tandem, and I told him I was gonna win the race. So when I say something like that, I pretty much they already know, and everybody knows. Everybody was trying to say, yeah, I'm gonna win it. Landon
Yeah.
too. I'm like, yeah, that are you gonna win it, Landon? If you're in the back now, you got black flag. So he was pretty upset. but but yeah, I mean, made a move on John and took his right rear. And I mean, he said he was gonna come, maybe give him some door or something to speed match me, but he didn't. I kind of actually went down and tried to side draft him and see if I could get a good run off the exit, make sure I get that to the checker flag, and I was able to. I got lucky.
Yeah. Good deal. Well, for for not remembering, like you said, you did actually explain it pretty well, and you have to watch it back because some of what you were explaining was actually lining up perfectly to the where we're at in the replay for the blimp camera view. So that was
Yeah.
near perfect, man. But yeah,
Oh my
no.
goodness.
Yeah, no, you guys had me a little worried with some of that field strategy. Obviously, talked to John and Cody already, but were you at all nervous about when you had pitted and having to save as much fuel as you did?
I think we had enough. There was still a question there, but I mean, we would have been good. Um, I did tell Cody that he needs to work on his numbers a little bit better, um, but yeah, yeah. So yeah. I mean, I'm happy I was able to win tonight. I mean, it was crazy. I mean, it was in that one wreck. I mean, to get back, and I think I avoided another wreck. I mean, barely by like an. I mean, either that or they glitched through me or something, because I sure felt like I got as close as I can to that wall, and that car. I felt that car coming back up to the wall towards me, and then I felt like I had to change my underwears actually. But but yeah, that was a close one.
Yeah, obviously, guys cut it close, and I will I'll at least give Cody props. I mentioned at the time in the broadcast that might have been a miscalculation on fuel, but obviously I was incorrect in assuming that you guys might not be able to make it. But it's hard to do that mental math when you're driving. Obviously, it's a virtual race car, but driving at 200 miles an hour. So I'll have to cut him a little bit of slack, but I don't mind. I love the banter that you guys have back and forth. It seems like you guys have quite a bit of fun jawing at each other.
Yeah, yeah, it's fun. I mean, these guys that we run with, this team right here. I mean, we mess around, we talk. You should hear us in chat, man.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, it's hilarious, especially when Landon starts getting upset there. I mean, I couldn't stop laughing when he got black flag. Really upset. I can't repeat what he said, but yeah.
Yeah, no worries. We'll keep it PG at least for the broadcast, but yeah, man, it was a lot of fun to watch, and obviously, getting the job done there, just making the move to the outside of John coming off of four, and seemed like you guys had, other than maybe the fuel strategy, seemed like you guys had a pretty good handle on tonight's activities.
Thank
Well, yeah, now focus is going to kind of switch towards the playoffs here. I know Cody had mentioned you guys are going to try and get Evan enough points for next week to get there. Besides that, what is your focus coming into the last race of the regular season here, and how does that maybe shift as you get into the playoffs?
you. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, if that's what the team is requesting, I'll support, Evan to get enough points there to secure this spot for the playoffs. And I'll pray for Landon not to get a black flag and not get wrecked out again. maybe win a race. But yeah. But yeah, I mean, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, lots of fun. Well, I appreciate hearing the banter you guys have, but it was you who got the win, and we'll roll that red carpet out now for you for any thanks or shout outs for taking that checkered flag home tonight.
Yeah, Boomer, I want to thank you for broadcasting Area 51 and their admins for what they do. Everybody that participated here in this race, all the viewers, Team Nightmare Esports, John, Cody, Evan, Landon, my mom and dad out in Arizona. I love you guys. My wife, love her too with all my heart. And I think that's it. Oh yeah, thank Vince Service and Repairs got my main sponsor right on the car, so gotta thank them too. If you ever need any servicing down in Central Valley, California, Modesto area, just give me a search, Vince Service and Repair.
Good deal. Well, congratulations, Vince. Another hard-earned victory for you guys tonight, and a solid 1, 2, 3, 4 finish for the team. So congratulations, and hope you guys have a chance to celebrate a little.
Thanks, Boomer.
Alrighty, that will conclude the interview portion of tonight's activities. Just a few more things we want to go through before we sign off here. One thing we do want to mention, obviously, some of the drivers have alluded to it with, the passing of Jim Brooks a few weeks ago. Did see a few names absent, and some from the broadcast booth, some from the car, but obviously Jim's services were today. And obviously Gael was there. Want to give a huge shout out to Bob Fitzgerald as well. He was able to make it and get a chance to pay his respects in person. And obviously Gael had kind of made a comment to me where it's kind of nice for him to get a chance, kind of on behalf of almost all of Area 51 and all the people who have ever raced with Jim and supported him, to say thanks to him and pay their respects um, to him, and obviously a lasting legacy here as what still will be for quite a while the leading driver in starts here, and I believe the leading driver in top tens as well. So definitely thinking about the Brooks family, and definitely rest in peace, Jim. And our thoughts are with Kawabi and Gael and the rest of their family. And big thank you from Gael and the rest of the Brooks family for Bob Fitzgerald to miss tonight in order to be at the service. So appreciate those guys. Appreciate Bob being able to represent the rest of us here at Area 51 to say thanks, pay our respects, and obviously, in our hearts and forever in on our minds and our thoughts, the Brooks family, and yeah, rest in peace, Jim. So we do have a couple more weeks of action. We'll bring the schedule up at this point, and you'll see. So obviously tonight was Daytona March 22nd, so we'll be at Talladega next week and Atlanta the following week. Then we have Daytona, Atlanta, Talladega. Atlanta on the 5th will be the first race of the playoffs there, as the top 12 will compete for the championship over those final 4 races. Points will reset even for everybody, and whoever has the most points after those 4 races will be crowned a champion here at Area 51. So we are looking forward to that action as it continues to ramp up towards the later stages of this season. And the schedule for Friday night, take the same one you see on your screen here, just subtract 2 days. It'll be 2 days prior, same tracks and everything all on the same weekends. So obviously next week we'll be at Talladega there as well in the truck series. And as always, looking forward to calling the action there once again to see how that season finishes out. Always have to give our shout outs to Tuesdays as well. The IndyCar series, their 20th season. Still have to mention it every time because it is exciting to see how long Area 51's been around. And they will be at Daytona Road Course this week, so I'm especially excited to watch those guys race there. Definitely a unique road course that I don't believe IndyCars have ever been to in real life. But yeah, they'll actually be here as well. So this whole week was a Daytona week. Friday night, tonight, and then this coming Tuesday, we'll be at Daytona International Speedway. So that'll be cool. Remember, that is not on Green White Checker TV. We do want to thank our friends over at P1 Broadcasting for all that they have done for us by taking over the Tuesday show. Takes a little bit off of our plate between myself and Gael, and then obviously Brandon Briggs, who's a part-time race car driver, part-time broadcaster. But yeah, a lot of fun here on Green White Checker TV. But there's some really cool stuff going over at P1 Broadcasting to cover the Tuesday IndyCar Racing Series here at Area 51 as well. So thank you to them and all those guys over on Tuesday nights for all the fun that they get to have here in iRacing in the open wheel side of things. So yeah, I think that'll just be about it. And yeah, as always, appreciate getting the opportunity to do this. Rolling solo tonight, but hopefully still covering for a decent amount of the action, trying to at least. And hopefully I can save my voice a little bit if we can get Brandon back in the booth on Friday and Gael next Sunday. But definitely appreciate all of the drivers here in the league, all of the admins, and everyone who puts this show on. It's a pleasure for us to get to be a part of it, and always enjoyable to show up on a Friday or a Sunday night and get to watch some fun Super Speedway action. So with that, as always, we'll see you in the next one, and hope you all have a great week, and take care.